Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, my host companion, it's Sejohn Sarowick. Yay! I don't know why I do the Kermit thing. I like the Kermit thing. That's why I'll do it.
Hey, man.
Hey, buddy. How are ya?
Do what makes you happy, bro.
And you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I gotta turn on my goddamn fan. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Say Report. I've had a week. I don't know. I don't want to turn this into a therapy session. So, let's start instead with, actual prepared, he put in air quotes, material. And that's a big thank you to everybody who listened to last week's episode, celebrating my 40th birthday. But there are a couple of things that I'd like to shout out. Sejohn, I have an envelope marked to Sejohn and an envelope marked to Devon. Which one do you want to open first?
Okay, let's open the Devon one.
Okay, cool. There's no envelopes. I just want everyone to know that.
Yeah, I think we all understood that.
So, thanks to Lance for what was very nice. It was good. It was constructive criticism, but it's left me I'm not sure how to take it. So I wanted to present it to Sejohn. Quote, you should do more drunk episodes of the Say Report.
My only real concern there is I dig generally the majority probably already.
What was that?
Oh, no, I'm sick, Devon.
He's sick. He's drinking too much. He's throwing up.
No, not throwing up. It's just been, it's that time of the year where everybody's got a fucking cold.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think the majority of the episodes already kind of are. So
yeah, there's definitely some altering. There's just not 80 ounces of Old English in 28 minutes. I mean, I re-listened to the episode to make sure I didn't say anything too salacious or crazy. Basically, I mean, the funny thing to me about, you should do more drunk episodes of your show is I feel like the only difference of me getting to, drunk instead of, buzzed or just a little bit altered is that I kept saying, I'm so drunk. I don't, does that, I could just do it. I'm so drunk. No, but I do. Thank you for listening, Lance. Appreciate that. And I appreciate the feedback. That was some good feedback. Now, man, I wish I could have made it sound like I had an envelope. If I had an envelope, I could have done it. Good Foley work requires good tools. The Sejohn envelope is opened up. And this is from my friend Robert Fox. I don't know if he's ever been shouted out on the show before, but he listens. And upon your comment that most of the animals used in television programs and film productions are female, he asked Grok. This is the exact conversation we had. I asked Grok, and that is just not the case. So Robert Fox has accused you of chimp misandry, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to address these charges.
Hey, look, I'm happy to be told that I'm wrong about something, but use something other than Grok to prove it, please. That's all I will say to that.
I mean, I will say the chimps that it told were male were none of the chimps that we talked about. I did that.
Also, I said most of the animals used, implying that, there are definitely male animals that are used as well, but there is a consideration when casting an animal in a movie. Do we want to have one whose balls are going to be hanging out?
I mean, what's really crazy though, because I said he said most animals, not all animals. He didn't speak specifically of chimpanzees, and I brought up Lassie, and what I found out is while the character of Lassie is a lady, she was exclusively played by male rough collies, which is crazy to me. That's crazy. Why was Lassie a female if it's all going to be male dogs playing her? What's the point behind that?
Why hasn't there been a Lassie revamp anywhere?
There was a movie, right?
Where's our Rin Tin Tin remakes? Where's our?
What the fact of the matter, and this is one of the reasons why I went down the path why I went so far down the path of the like dubbed chimp entertainment is the fact that it's kind of crazy that at a time where like PETA was big and we were all talking about like mistreatment of animals and all that we were like mistreating chimpanzees like, well, they're almost human, right? Like, it's okay for us to mistreat chimpanzees, but God forbid a dog be mistreated in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying that like animals should not be treated any less than humans. Also, humans are treated pretty terribly in entertainment, as we find out every single day. So,
especially if you get into the kind of roles that are on par with the pet in the film, you know, the second you start talking about like extras or like, you know, one-liners and like those people are like across the board, people are mistreated on sets. But like, man, is there anything lower than the guy that has that one line? Man, these pretzels are making me thirsty.
I was thinking about in Jay Kelly when one of the people's like, that dog makes more money than any of us. Because, you know, it's Golden Globes night, so I'm thinking of Jay Kelly again. Because tonight could be the night that Adam Sandler wins an award. And hopefully by saying it, I've tempted fate the right way. I don't even know who he's up against. I have, like, no interest in the Globes, let alone any other award shows. But I do want Jay Kelly to succeed, because I liked Jay Kelly. But the reason why I brought up the Robert Fox thing, the reason I thought it was Say Report worthy, was the fact that he called it chimp misandry. I thought that was just the funniest combination of words ever. But then to go back to, like, why hasn't there been another last year, things like that, I think part of it is the fact that it's just not worth the hassle of people thinking, you know, you're treating that dog inhumanely. You're asking for trouble. I mean, here's a straight question. Has there been another, like, animal pivotal show since what happened on, was it Luck? The horse racing show where a horse died on set and that show got immediately canceled on HBO? Was it called Luck?
Look, I do think you're right. I do think it was called that.
Yeah, it was called Luck.
Andy Garcia or Al Pacino or somebody was there,
Dustin
right?
Hoffman. I completely understand exactly what happened. Yeah, the safety of the series' working environment called into question by PETA because injury and euthanization of 2 horses during the pilot and 7th episode. So, yeah, they stopped it. They suspended all of them. That was 2012. So post 2012, can you think of, I guess, a TV show? Because movies have still happened. There was like the one with Channing Tatum where he had to bring his friend's dog that was a bomb sniffing dog to his family after his family had died. Like, I don't.
No, yeah. The you know, the only kind of thing that I'm really kind of thinking about right now is that Good Luck. Is it Good Luck Charlie? Is that the one about the dog on Disney?
No, Dog with a Blog would be the one.
Dog with a Blog? Is that what it was? Where the dog would talk? Like, but I don't think anybody could hear him, right?
I don't know. I thought Dog with a Blog that people look at. I'm looking up Dog with a Blog. Good Luck Charlie was about a family and also aged really poorly because the mother just is insane. The actress who plays the mother is out there just picking fights with people.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Set in Pasadena, California, Avery Jennings' mother, Ellen, has just married Tyler and Chloe James's father, Bennett, and now the new family needs to adjust to living together. They face an even bigger adjustment when they discover that their new dog, Stan, can talk. Only Avery, Tyler, and Chloe know this. Unbeknownst to the family, Stan also has a blog where he discusses happenings in the Jennings-James household in hopes of finding other talking animals. The children learn of Stan's talking ability in the first episode and agree to keep it a secret from their parents, fearing that if the world finds out that Stan can talk, he'll be taken away for experimentation. And that ran for 69 episodes.
Yeah, it was 3 years, right? It ran until 2015ish. So yeah, so I mean that is the quintessential show that I think of when I think about any current animal show. You know, part of that is because of just, you know, the kids I had around me at that time that were watching that show, that sort of thing. So like obviously that I'm a little biased just because of the era, but I can't think of anything since 2015. I can't think of anything since Dog with a Blog that was animal focused primarily.
Yeah. And I mean, Dog with a Blog, the fact that it premiered the October of the same year that Luck had all the issues with the horses is a little crazy. October 12, 2012.
There was the Turner and Hooch remake on Disney Plus when it first
that's a thing. Why did that not get a second season? Like, that's a good example. Like, they do exist. And that one is more, because Dog with a Blog, I feel like Stan, I'm somebody who watched exactly 0 episodes of Dog with a Blog. I'm just going to say that. Sejohn has me at a disadvantage on this particular piece of media. But the dog's mostly inside, right?
No, I mean, they go places. More to your point, I think, though, being a Disney Channel show, it's all studio stuff, so it's just they're only working with a dog in a studio setup. Even if they're outside, quote unquote, they're usually on just a set, right?
Yeah.
So to your point, the dog, they're not going out and being like on location with the animal, right? Yeah,
they're not doing something where the dog is like put in peril, like it's not running around a burning barn or anything like that.
No, and part of the joke on those kinds of shows, more so than on like Lassie and Benji and all that stuff back in the old days, like part of the joke when you do kind of the animal focus show is to do like the fake paws and shit like that, especially if your dog, if you're already crossing that boundary where the dog is talking, then the sillier you can get with the animal effects, the better. You watching like a stuffed version of the dog fly across the screen and stuff like that,
Yeah. Exactly. It's part of the appeal. It's part of the charm. It's not making animals actually fight themselves. All right. So here's the real reason why we haven't had more Lassie stuff. The highest grossing Lassie movie is 1994's Lassie, and that is $9.9 million.
All right.
They did a Lassie in 2005 that grossed $6.4 million. That is the second highest grossing Lassie film. But then for the third highest grossing, we go all the way back to 1943. Lassie Come Home with $4.5 million. So they're not
somewhere
profitable.
Out there. There's a world in which Puchinsky hit, and that ran for 10 years, But anyway.
Yeah. And, you say, where's our Lassie movie? 2020. So again, you gotta consider the world that was around. When did this release, though? So it looks like it was German. A German Lassie film called Lassie Come Home released in 2020. February 16th in Berlin. So technically a little bit before the world went completely pandemic crazy. And that one grossed $3.6 million. Apparently, there was going to be a 2023 Lassie: A New Adventure. And I think that was going to be a sequel to that. But it looks like that's just dead in the water based on the red link it has on Wikipedia.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So I guess, it's...
Yeah, I as far as movies go, I'm reminded of what happened with all of the shit with what came out in Show Dogs, all that.
Oh yeah, Show Dogs is a prominent movie that people were like, this dog going to a happy place when he's having his genitals fondled teaches kids the wrong message. And it does. I'm not saying like that, but what a conversation to have about a movie about dogs.
Yeah. So it's that, and so to the point, right? That wasn't a great conversation.
No, that was not a good conversation. So it just seems like the reason why we've moved away from animal heavy acting projects, first of all, with CGI and everything, it's real easy to not have to deal with a real animal. And let's be honest about it, real animals, they're living, breathing things, right? As much as, what's the fuck his name? Drake? What the heck is his name? Ludwig von Drake is all you're a human animal, and the difference between human animals and every other animal is that we can think, we can reason, we can read. That doesn't mean that animals do not have their own like semi free will. So you have to wrangle an animal that's on set. It's not just going to do whatever you want. I think part of the reason why the chimpanzees, I can't believe that I'm talking about chimpanzees again on this show. I do apologize to everybody, but is the fact that like the stuff that they're doing, if it's not what we want them to do, we still kind of found it endearing and entertaining. So
I guess maybe, the most recent thing that I can personally think of where they probably had to do a lot of the animal wrangling, and again, not a great example of success, would be the Flurkins in the Captain Marvel series.
Oh yeah. Well, I think Goose in the first Captain Marvel probably all right, but in the Marvels, when Goose had kittens and those kittens were like tribble adjacent in terms of how many there were.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The idea being that there was billions of them, right?
Yeah.
Enough to save everybody.
There was enough that you're going to be like upset by the fact that these little cats are on stage, and all it takes is one. All it takes is one person to be mistreated, one animal to be mistreated, and it does kind of spoil the whole enjoyment factor of the event. So. But I do want to thank Robert for pointing it out. And there is some nuance there, and we work in broad strokes. That's the secret of the Say Report, is that we say things, and if we have to check ourselves, we do check ourselves. We try to be accountable for the insane things that we say. Which brings...
I don't want to get too far away from to my original point of I am more than happy to admit that I am wrong.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Please do not use Grok as your go-to source of information.
I don't know. Maybe he has a premium subscription. I was like, he groks though. I don't know. I cannot see myself using AI in that way. But also I need to come clean about something that I talked about last episode while I was drunk. So I'd like to address that. Then we can bring new business to the table.
Yeah.
I need to look up something though. I just want to make sure I have the character thing. Okay. What the fuck? I hate the internet, just straight up. I was calling view 355. It's either view 955 or it looks like 955. This person wrote 995 in the header, but it's view 955. He's still view 355 here at the Say Report. I had his name wrong. But for the final time that we'll be discussing Metroid Prime 4 on the Say Report, unless Sejohn for some reason plays the game, which I don't know why he would, I have to apologize a little bit for my anger last week at all of the noble sacrifices that took place in the 5th biome of Metroid Prime 4. Because when you complete the 5th biome of Metroid Prime 4, everybody's okay! They all made it! Yay! Oh, you really think we were going to let them stop us? We just had to knuckle up and take them down. It was a piece of cake. Red velvet cake. Yeah. These are lines that happen in Metroid Prime 4. But here's the best part. I get to be angry again because spoilers for Metroid Prime 4. I know I just kind of did it, but I said that this is an open discussion last episode. So unless you're somebody who this is your very first episode of the Say Report and you also happen to be playing Metroid Prime 4 and hoping to avoid spoilers a month after release, I apologize. But the final fight, it comes down to you. First of all, the final fight, everybody's been complaining about the final fight because it is Samus and all of the chuckle fucks that she has collected throughout the game. And that's mean to call them that, but that's what it feels like, right? Because you're Samus Aran. You're the best bounty hunter in the Federation. And then you got a bunch of soldiers who it's my first tour and I'm really excited to be here. You have the engineer who has no combat training. He's there as well. And this fight, that is not an easy fight. Do you know who Sylux is in Metroid Prime, canon?
Sylux?
Yeah. Sylux.
I'm not pulling it out. No, I don't know.
You're okay. A lot of people did it. He's from the DS games. He's from Prime Bounty Hunter, Prime Hunters, and Prime Federation Force is where Psylux, like,
Dude,
kind of shined.
The title of those games out. Never mind side characters.
Yeah, right. And they're weird games because they're different. They're like multiplayer games as opposed to the single player experience. I mean, I know Hunters had a single player story, maybe Federation Force did too. I haven't played either of them, but a lot of people were like, "You're treating this character like I'm supposed to know who he is, and I don't." And that's because for some reason Metroid Prime 4 was like, "You've played the DS games, right? You know who this character is." So you fight against Psylux, who's like kind of a thorn in your side the whole game. But at this point, he's energized by the green energy, which is the Phazon du jour in the latest Prime game. And he kind of spins around and has nano tentacles a la Dr. Octopus. Dr. Doom? What the fuck is wrong with me? Dr. Octopus in the Spider-Man canon. And, you know, you gotta destroy his little tentacles before they attack you.
Sorry, can I just ask, is there a different Dr. Octopus I should be aware of?
I'm sure that there's other Dr. Octopi. I mean, like, First of all, even in the Spider-Man canon, there are multiple Dr. Octopus. Like, it's not just Otto Octavius.
Right, but in theory, they would all have kind of the same that you were alluding to, right? Like,
I don't know, Dr. Octopus Wikipedia, there is no disambiguous, so maybe he is the only Dr. Octopus. I find it hard to believe that, like, Doc McStuffins doesn't have a Dr. Octopus episode. I'm just being honest. Like, I don't want to show at the door, but you know what? If we're wrong, as Sejohn has said, we're happy to be told that we're wrong. Just please bring better evidence than just grok, right? You need two sources. That seems fair, right? That seems fair? Multiple sources to tell us that we're wrong?
Well, in theory, grok would be pulling it from a primary source anyway, right? So
one would certainly hope so.
Go find that.
Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. But yeah, so he's got these tentacles, and he starts with 3, and they spin around, and he does all sorts of crazy stuff, and then they become fire dragon heads, then ice dragon heads, and lightning dragon heads because of the lightning, fire, and thunder shots that you collect throughout the game. Is wild. But in addition to having to keep Samus alive, you have to keep her team members alive. And, like, they're just running around taking damage. Now, when they get to a point that they're knocked out, like, you have the opportunity to bring them back. But if you, like, can't get there in time, or you're pinned down on the other side of the arena, and one of the Chucklefucks dies, you lose the fight, and it restarts.
Oh.
That's a weird option for final boss in this game.
So you have to try and keep the team.
The team has to, yeah. The fail condition is you run out of health as Samus, or one of your companions falls in battle.
That just, yeah, because to my understanding, the rest of the game, you're pretty solo in these games.
Yeah, there are. Well, I will admit, like, there were those times in the mines. This is the only time it happened to me, but I will admit that it did happen. That time in the mine while we were fighting off grievers, one of them went down, and I'm like, I can't get over there. Like, there's too many enemies. I'll get to you when I get the chance. And when I first started to head over there after I was no longer pinned down myself, they had passed away, and I got, you know, you have failed the mission because you failed to keep this Federation soldier alive. Which was a surprise, I'm not going to lie. I did not expect that to be a fail condition in the game. Just like, wow. I'll get you up when it comes time because, you know, like, I need you there to push the lever with me at the same time that's on the other side of the room. Right? Like what? Why have you tied success to the fact that these people can go down? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't. Is there something narratively going on with, like, Samus and, like, the need to keep people alive or something like that? You know, like,
that's
if it was like a Batman
I'm
game, like,
so happy that you asked that question because it's gonna be important later. The fact of the matter is, so the set piece for Beyond is that the Federation has found this relic and they don't know what it does. And so in the process of transporting that relic to like a lab for, them to experiment and figure out the meaning behind the relic, the space pirates attack.
Video game shit.
Yeah, video game shit, right? The space pirates attack, and during their attack, the relic is activated, and it blows Samus, a bunch of space pirates, including Silex, and some Federation members to the planet of Euros. So that's what happens. It's a teleportation key, basically, the relic. And its activation teleports everybody who's in, like, whatever radius of it to the planet of Euros. So it's never really explicitly explained. Like, where Samus winds up on the planet is the Chrono Tower, where she's told, you are the chosen one from our prophecies. You must collect the 5 teleportation keys and bring back Vuros to, like, prominence, which is also, that gets thrown away because you find out, like, within an hour of gameplay that there's only one Vurosian left because the other 12 were sent out to find Samus and never returned. So we're going to pivot to the fact that you're going to grow a memory fruit and then plant that memory fruit on a new planet. And then you also learn a bunch of stuff about the Vurosians. I don't know if that's what they're called. That's what I'm going to fucking call them. That, like, I don't know if I want to give you guys a second chance on another planet. like just completely honestly, you find out that the Grievers exist because the Vuros, like, experimented on themselves with the green energy, which is what corrupted their bodies and turned them into Grievers. The creatures that would then go on to destroy their society. Like, and I understand that, yes, we're doing experimentation. We're learning from things. But, like, after that first Griever, they're like, oh, it didn't work there, but we could keep trying this. Like, you find a lot of supporting material in the world that maybe you guys are not. Like, maybe if I take your memory fruit, I'm not going to plant it somewhere else. Because it seems to give the idea that their species will be able to grow again from it. Like, I don't think I would take an alien, like, even in a United Federated, like, situation, right? I think that I'm like, we have this memory fruit, we're gonna study it and learn. She just plants it on, like, the capital planet of the Federation with no oversight. And I don't know if I would have done that. Right? Because, like, in order to get it, you had to fill it with a bunch of green energy. And we know that the green energy apparently corrupts ultimately. So, yeah. Maybe the option to plant it or give it to somebody. Not just.
I do get the impression that a lot of Metroid stories seem to start with people making some pretty obvious mistakes in this realm. Not always Samus themselves, but she is usually coming in to clean up other people's mess, which it sounds a little bit like she's doing here, but I don't know.
It's like
Samus. The world of Metroid is just full of idiots.
Well, the world of Metroid is full of idiots. Like, I love Samus Aran. Samus Aran is probably one of my favorite video game characters. I wouldn't say top 3, easy top 10, possible top 5. I do love Samus Aran as a character. I think that, but the fact that she goes around calling herself a bounty hunter is the dumbest shit in the world to me. 'Cause she's not. She very often works with the government on things where it's like, but bounty hunters, historically, they kind of do it without oversight.
Is like, do you think that might be a little bit of a translation thing between what Japan like thinks a bounty? You know what I mean? Like, lost in translation.
I mean, possibly. I think it's more the fact that the storyline wise, it's not like that, because it's not just the fact that it's mostly the Prime games where I feel like you're not really being a bounty hunter right now. Because, like,
Well,
I
there's
totally...
almost like a little bit of like an ex-military background to her, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to consider Other M as a, like, canon event, which I don't know if it is, but Other M is about how Samus Aran, like, went through the Federation military and then decided, this is not for me, I'm going to go branch off on my own and just save the galaxy on my own. And again, like, I understand, like, friggin' Vader in Star Wars hires a bunch of bounty hunters to look for Han Solo. That's part of it. So it's not that I'm, like, saying I'm against her working with the Federation, but the fact that, like, she follows Federation guidelines when she's working for them is, like, at that point, you're less bounty hunter and more soldier for hire. Like, it's, it never really, to use it, grokked with me. The fact that they call her a bounty hunter and then so often she is working within, like, the 2D Metroids, very much, it is Samus on her
mercenary.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a mercenary for the federal government in the Prime games. Because she's, like, working with them. She's on Federation stuff. Like, when she gets involved, like, the first Metroid game, she just, like, goes out to do her shit. Metroid 2, she takes it upon herself after finding about how dangerous Metroids are to go to their homeworld and wipe them out. Like, it's very much...
Like, this is complete and total... what's the word I'm looking for? Bullshit.
Yeah.
But, like, there's always been this kind of idea with Samus Aran for me that, like, even in the name of Samus Aran, of a samurai, right? And thinking back to the Federation, we think about feudal Japan and the ways in which there was constant changing governments going on throughout the various lands and dynasties, breakups and comings together and all that shit, right? And you ended up with a lot of samurai that became mercenaries because they kind of just lost whatever person that they were supposed to be, you know, serving to, and eventually samurai just kind of became guns for hire a lot. And so a lot of that has echoes in the Metroid universe, right? That's the way that I have always kind of sensed it. Is it feels like she is a space samurai essentially, and she finds herself in these situations where she helps, you know, and so in that, the idea that she might be hired by the government is definitely viable, because that's what used to happen with samurais all the time, especially once they became a little bit more like guns for hire style,
right,
like warriors. So it all kind of works for me, but I do get what you're saying. The specific term bounty hunter is kind of a little off the mark.
Yeah, because she's more like a superhero. Basically, she's flying around space. She hears that the space pirates are getting involved in something. The space pirates, to go back to the very origins, betrayed the Chozo race who raised her. Right? The Chozo went out, they tried to be kind and ignoble, and then they were rewarded with death and destruction from the space pirates. So she kind of has like a blood oath to destroy all space pirates. And then when the space pirates fuck with the Federation, it's like briefly in this moment, our like mission objectives align. But the idea of her being alone on these planets, fighting against the space pirate occupation, like, I get it. I understand it. The government doesn't just go after space pirates, they defend the space pirates. She is actively going out there and fighting space pirates. She's a vigilante, she's a superhero, to use what would be modern ideas of samurai, right? Before we get to space.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. But yeah, so she follows a lot of rules. Like, even then, like, her getting involved, it's because the space pirates are heading towards that relic, and she's like, well, there's a bounty on Silex, so I'm gonna go catch that asshole and get the money that I'm owed on him. Like, just the fact that, like, she doesn't care if other people die, she's just fighting in the beginning. But then she gets to this planet and she's like, oh, anyone that I find, I'm gonna save and rescue. But, so the first part of the fight, you have to keep everybody alive. Thankfully, once you complete that part of the fight, Silex summons you into the Sliders tunnel, and you fight in the sliders tunnel, and that triggers a checkpoint. Because you have this whole great shooting gallery sort of area where Silex is throwing stuff at you. You have to avoid it and do the damage. And then you get to a one-on-one battle with Silex in, for all intent and purposes, Final Destination from Smash Brothers. And I do like that. I dig when Smash Brothers stages like end up being set pieces in other Nintendo games. So you're in Final Destination, you're fighting Silex, but then once you defeat Silex, it pulls you back to the real world. All your friends are there, and they're alive because you kept them alive. You go to activate the teleporter to bring everybody home, and then Silex shows up, and all your friends like jump on him so that he can't stop you from teleporting. And now, I've been playing Metroid games for a long time, and one of the most famous questions, probably because of like games done quick and other marathons, is are you going to kill or save the animals in Super Metroid? Right? You're familiar with that before we go. Right.
Yeah.
So it comes down to Samus is standing at the activation button for the teleporter. All of the people that you have been working to save during the game are holding down Silex, and they're like, go. It's more important that you live. We'll take care of him. And I'm standing in that moment, and I'm like, no, there has to be another option. Like, I'm not going to abandon these people who, like, I've watched noble sacrifice themselves for me all these times. Like, there has to be a way to save it. So I wait, seeing if there'll be, like, a button prompt. I try to move around. Eventually, time runs out, and I get a game over, right? Mission fail, game over, because I did not activate the teleporter. That did mean that I had to fight Silex the second and third phases again. So I beat him twice. That's fun. And then, yeah, the only option is to abandon those people on the planet Vuros.
What a weird mixed, like, I mean, if you think about it in terms of video games needing to kind of teach you how to play them, right? Like, they introduce this idea in the gameplay mechanics that you need to keep them alive. So of course at the end you would try and find another way. Like, the game has done nothing but tell you need to keep these people alive.
Right. Which brings us to your all-important question of, is there a narrative reason why Samus is trying to keep these people alive? So as soon as I am not able to save them, and then I go through again and I choose myself over these 6 people who I'm going to basically maroon on this planet because the teleportation grid is breaking, right? So you have fun on the desert planet with your 1 female and 4 dudes, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I kind of just threw up in my mouth a little bit thinking about what the implication would be. Like, on some level, I hope Silex kills them all. Not that
You didn't have to think about it.
But I did. It just happened. But, like, I Google, the first thing I Google is there a way to save your team at the end of Metroid Prime 4? Thinking, like, I did not get 100% of the items. I did not get 100% of the scans. So I'm like, if I go back, will it give me an option to do it? Because I had every single, like, weapon upgrade, right? I had all that stuff. And that's usually the type of thing where, like, in a Metroidvania game, that's what triggers an alternate ending. And I found that with 100%, there is a secondary scene, apparently, that happens. I don't think I'm going to get that 100%. I honestly am, when I say I'm closing the door on Metroid Prime 4 with this little discussion of it on the show, I mean it.
I wonder if at some point there was, like, the intention that if somebody died earlier in the story, I don't know, like, a much better mechanic, and this is just full armchair game design at this point, but like the idea being that if you don't save them, they're not there to pile on him at the end, and therefore, like, you need to save a certain percentage of them, otherwise maybe he can, like, overpower them or something, right? Like you want to try and keep as many people alive, kind of like
Mass Effect.
I mean, what I'm describing at this point is the end of all of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Like, having all of those guys is not mandatory, having all those buddies is not mandatory, but it's a huge benefit to the final fight if you do, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah. And again, like, that's the thing. And we will talk, there's more to talk about Metroid Prime 4, but I do find it's impossible to save your teammates at the end of Metroid Prime 4. This is to strengthen the narrative message of Samus doing what is necessary for the greater good. And I don't know what fucking brand of copium that is, but that is not the narrative message that Metroid Prime 4 gives at any point. Like, what do you mean, the greater good? What are you talking?
Would you attribute that? Yeah, would you attribute that to any Metroid game?
No.
I guess?
Like, she's very much doing what is necessary to take out the space pirates. Like, she is very selfish. To think of Samus Aran as somebody who works for the greater good is a complete reinvention of that character. And again, if I'm reading that incorrectly, please let me know. But like, that is not what I think of that character.
I do think as a character, I do think that she cares about the greater good. I think that she's very selfish in her concept of what the greater good is. Like, what her version of the greater good is very much revolves around herself. So, like, in that regard, I guess she's selfish. But I do think, like, as a hero, I do think she does think she's doing the right thing most of the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I guess, like, the Punisher is who jumps to mind. And again, I don't know that much about it, but, like, he very much is, like, anybody who's, like, they deserve to die. And on some level, that is a selfish pursuit on the part of Frank Castle. If you get Frank Castle on a therapist couch, they would probably say that he is selfish. He is single-minded. Samus Aran is like that. Like, you think about freaking... The only reason Metroid Fusion happens is because they abandon her on that space station. So then it is up to her to fight against the X-Parasites and save the day. Ditto, like Metroid Dread, she winds up on this planet where she is fighting against not only the space pirates who are there, but the Federation tech that is going haywire because of the X-Parasite infection, and a rogue group of Chozo scientists who, like, did not understand that, like, they didn't care about, like, the negative things that they were doing. Like, Dread goes a long way in showing us the dark underbelly of the Chozo race that Samus has pretty much been fighting a one-woman war to, like, avenge throughout the other 2D Metroid games. I don't know. It was wacky and wild. But to that, like, the game's narrative about the greater good, I'm like, when does that happen? It's very much, I want to get off this fucking planet.
Well, and especially on top of all of that, if that is supposed to be the point, then why are you required to try and keep people alive? Like, wouldn't sacrifice be more to that point?
Yeah. Like what? Why did you bait and switch me with the whole... And the fact of the matter is, moving on to the second part of the Metroid Prime 4 discussion in this episode, is that this game, 17 years in the making... because that's how many years it was between Metroid Prime 3 and Metroid Prime 4. And after 3, they were very much like, there's going to be another game. Now, development starts in 2017, or at least it's announced for 2017 that Metroid Prime 4 is coming. And then in 2019, we get the announcement. So Bandai Namco is working on this game. We've completely destroyed everything that they've worked on. We're building from the ground up with Retro Studios. You know, the studio that made the first 3 Metroid Prime games. So, I mean, I understand the Bandai Namco of it all back in 2017 because they were trying to chase the open world hype. But now all of this stuff has come out about the game that, like, in the time that we were developing Metroid Prime 4, we saw the world get tired of the open world concept. And we went to Nintendo and we're like, we'd like to kind of go back down to the foundation and build it up again without the open world. Because, like, people don't want those in video games anymore. And it always felt kind of tenuous to attach it to a Metroid game. And Nintendo's like, no, you can't do that. You can't start over. You have to work with it. You have to work within these bounds that we've already set you for. So, like, the game's just fraught. I mean, I hope that Metroid Prime 4 becomes a lesson in, like, game design and responding to the audience, but woof. I'm so glad I
this
played
always
it.
happens with these, but these extended periods between like anticipated sequels never ends well, right? Like look at what happened with the fucking Duke Nukem of all, you right? Like to not to compare Samus Aran in any way to Duke Nukem, but
Both
like,
of them would be
ended,
offended, which is my favorite part about it. Samus would be offended that you compare it to Duke Nukem, and Duke Nukem would be offended too. Like, I like that part of it, but continue. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, like, but what ended up happening with the release of that game finally is just kind of just utter disappointment, right? It's one of the reasons why I can almost say that I'd put money down that we'll never see Half-Life 3, right? Is that at this point that there is nothing that game could be that would live up to the hype. Unless they released like Portal 3 and then it secretly was Half-Life 3 would be like that would be the only way I think they could get away with it.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, anticipation, we've talked about this pretty much since the beginning of this series, that expectations are essentially the greatest villain between you and enjoying something. And when they're allowed to, like, gestate and metastasize after multiple years, like, let alone a decade, honestly, if you're unable to check your expectations at the door, then there's not going to be any way to enjoy it. I mean, look at what happened with Silk Song. And that was only, like, 6 years between Hollow Knight and Silk Song? And everybody was mad that Silk Song was hard? Like, it's so hard. Hollow Knight was hard. What are you talking about? Like...
Yeah, but you know the thing is I think what happened with Silk Song is that you had a lot of people keep just hearing about Hollow Knight, hearing about Hollow Knight, and hearing about Silk Song, that just kind of wanted to try it because they wanted to hear what everybody was talking about. And I think you had a wide range of people that were not ready for that game's difficulty curve.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll also admit that I'm kind of guilty of it. Have you played either of the Battle Kid games? Like, do you know Battle Kid at all? It's an NES game. Homebrew.
No.
So the first Battle Kid, normal mode, you can take 3 damage before you die. And it's like, it's like precision platforming. It's pretty difficult fights and things like that. I would recommend the first Battle Kid game to anybody. I love the first Battle Kid game. And then, like, when I finished it, by the time I finished it, because I came to it much later, Battle Kid 2 had released, and I'm like, yeah, I'll play the sequel to that. And then the normal mode, you only had 1 hit point. And I looked it up, and there's no way to get more than 1 hit point. And I'm like, so I'm not going to play you, Battle Kid 2. That's where this comes down to. Because, like, I don't understand. That's a huge mechanic change between the first game and the second game. Like, having a health meter to having no health meter, we expect perfection on the normal mode. Like, that's not fun to me. Yeah. Right? Part of video game fun, right? And I'm me, right? Like, you can listen to all these episodes. I swing my video game dick around like a crazy person. I complain about things being too easy all the time. But, like, I have to learn with the game. And by saying that the expected mode to play, we're demanding perfection from you? That's not fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like. There are people that are very into that type of game, though. We've talked about that. True. There are people that want that type of game. I mean, I as somebody that enjoys, like, I legitimately unwind playing games like Celeste and Meat Boy, which are games that demand perfection. But there's a right way to go down that path in a wrong way, and I think more often than not, when we're not liking a game, it's because it's failing at failing.
Yeah, that's I like that. Failing at failing is an interesting term. But you're right. That's exactly what it is. Because, yes, I've played Celeste and I've played Meat Boy as well. I'm not mad when I die in those games. right? And I don't know, maybe I wouldn't get mad if I died in Battle Kid 2, but the fact that you've now taken the normal mode and made it the hard mode from the first game, like that just seems like the wrong path to take.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like the ability to fail and learn from that failure. Like, let's talk about it. If Dark Souls was a one-hit kill all the time, it would suck. It's why the basilisks are such a fucker in the Dark Souls series. Because they end up making it so that you almost die in one hit until you cure the curse that they give you with their breath. And then, like, the game is not fun if you one hit and you die.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you know, so back to kind of what we were talking about with Metroid Prime, right? Like with Metroid Prime 4, from what you've described, like that is a game that is failing at failing because it's teaching you early on that losing somebody is a failure state. So when you finally get to the moment where apparently narratively you're supposed to finally lose them, how are you supposed to know that? The game has taught you to that point that losing somebody is a failure state. It's really weird. It's just really weird to me.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I'm glad I played it, but I'm glad I played it in the sense that I'm happy I saw Ella McKay. Like, I'm happy I saw Ella McKay because I can tell the people, I saw Ella McKay. Right? Like,
and you don't have to.
And I mean, if you want to, you can. But, like, also the Ella McKay of it all. The fact that, like, oh, it only made $2 million. While, like, Disney is the only company based in the United States that had billion-dollar movies this year. And it had last year in 2025. And it had 3 of them. Avatar, Fire, and Ash, welcome to the billion-dollar movie club. Like Avatar 3, Zootopia 2, and Lilo and Stitch live-action remake are the 3 American-made billion-dollar movies from 2025. And okay, but everybody wants to talk about the failure of Tron. Everybody wants to talk about the failure of Ella McKay. Where it's like, what are you doing? Like, they also succeeded the biggest.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I won't say to Tron, the failure of Tron is its own kind of madness that should definitely merit its own conversation. But looking at a small dramatic comedy, you know, that like Ella McKay, and like seeing what that is, comparing, you know, and seeing that as a quote unquote failure, like, yeah, okay, but like, how much of a failure? A $50 million hit for Disney, right? like yeah, that might seem like a large amount of money to anybody else, but like a $50 million failure to Disney in a year when they made $3 billion or more, $4 billion, right? Because if you add up all the other stuff,
yeah,
I mean, the exact to your, you know, like you're saying, they're gonna be fine.
I think the House of Mouse is gonna be all right. Yeah, I mean, all of those together. Yeah, we're not even considering Fantastic Four is another $500 million. Captain America's another 400. So that right there, but like with the additional stuff, is another $1 billion. And then look at those movies and they're like, oh, those failed too. It's like, yeah, they failed because they didn't make as much as the other movies. But you know what? The lowest one is Thunderbolts, right? MCU. That was 18th for the year worldwide gross out of 200 movies that are listed on Box Office Mojo. Snow White, which everybody made $205 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, like, you can't. I just don't get it. I do not understand it.
Yeah, and the thing about that movie is that Snow White, you better believe, would have done a lot better if there had not been a political shitstorm around that movie in the final month before it opened.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like that movie had a unique situation that they can point to in terms of failing, which, you know, you can say, like, okay, that explains one, but like, what about other? But it's also really interesting to me how I want to see how these narratives all get rewritten in the next like 2 to 3 years, right? Because I think about stuff like the live action Disney remake fatigue that everybody seems to be talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually look over the last like 5, 6 years, yeah, 10 years even, I think if you go back to like Jungle Book and stuff, like the live action remakes have more often than not actually been some of their most successful movies of the year. So like we can all talk about having fatigue with these movies, but it sure isn't showing in the box office numbers, right?
Well,
And so
especially
like
when
there's
one of them was $1 billion movie this year. Lilo and
yeah,
Stitch,
exactly.
which everybody shit on. Nobody liked the Lilo and Stitch live action remake. It failed itself to $1 billion. Right? And
I won't say that nobody liked it because I definitely know people that did.
Right now, when I say
think
that, it's just
what
that
it was is it felt like it felt like initially industry,
yeah.
vibes, I guess. Industry, right? Like the original the initial vibes on Lilo and Stitch were not great.
No, not at all. And that's all I'm talking about is that people were like, they changed the ending. I can't believe they did this. They made them the bad guy? Like, what the hell? But it is the second highest grossing domestic film in the domestic box office. Lilo and Stitch is higher than Zootopia and is higher than Avatar Fire and Ash, which are $1 billion movies when you can factor in the international audience. But like, I'm looking at it, like there's the money right there. And Minecraft movie, which I am so quick, and I enjoyed the Minecraft movie. I will say that. It was not a movie that I did not enjoy, but it did not make $1 billion. Everybody who calls Minecraft $1 billion movie, that's disingenuous. But what it can hang its hat on is the fact that a Minecraft movie was the highest grossing domestic box office film of 2025. And that's more impressive to me.
Yeah, well, because it's a more real world kind of concept of measurement rather than this made up credit card style finance bullshit that goes on. This ethereal, because the conversation about it making $1 billion, right, is what you're essentially having in those conversations is everybody admitting that there's more money being made than we actually talk about. And they're saying like, yeah, okay, so it made like $950 million, but also think about the merch that movie sold. I'm sure, like, still sells. Like, like, I still see Minecraft like movie shit everywhere, and like, and not like, oh, it's clogging the shelves everywhere, but rather like I just keep seeing it, new shit pop up.
New
like,
shit keeps popping up
out for it. Yeah. It's one of those things where like there is a sense that yes, the movie, it made this much money, but we cannot separate that movie from all of this other money that it's inevitably going to make, even though we're not going to lump it together, right? But then we can't seem to apply that same logic to other movies. People get really shitty about a movie not quite making the money they expected to. But like, let's talk about the fact that like the tail on a bunch of Marvel movies that we really get to consider now. I don't think that there's been a day in my life that I have not gone into a restaurant or a bar that didn't have a Marvel movie on at least one of the fucking TVs. Those movies are going to be for the rest of our lives. Are going to be the movies that show up on Saturday afternoons. They're going to be the movies that show up on when AMC dives into classics and stuff like that. Like, we're going to be seeing those movies now forever. They may not necessarily be box office hits, but the ways in which they are going to pay dividends for basically the next 30-40 years, right? I mean, like, it's crazy. Like, those movies are now a living asset for Disney, you know?
To go back to PCU and the Kane Hackman theory, the new Kane Hackman theory is that any given time on cable, a Marvel Cinematic Universe film is on. I mean, I'm not interested in doing the work to prove that, but based on what you said, we're like, you do not go into a bar and not see a Marvel movie. You're not wrong about that. They are just part of the fabric of the modern world are these Marvel films. And I think that's honestly part of the issue that they're having with it, is the fact that, do we want to reboot this because it's still an active and profitable entity in our world?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I just thinking about it. And then Ella McKay, just because I'm here. All right, so they list the top 200 films from 2025 for the domestic box office. Where do you think Ella McKay, the great failure Ella McKay, falls?
In the top 200?
In the top 200 domestic box office earnings for 2025.
I don't know. Probably in like, I would say like the low 100s, like the 100s to 150s, because I imagine it goes one down to two.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, so I would say the 1 to
147.
125. Let me give it that.
Yeah, it's 147.
147. Oh,
Yeah. So you know what's lower than that? Fight or Flight, a film with Mark Wahlberg. Craven the Hunter. The Toxic Avenger. Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. Like there are movies like that's actually disappointing that the sequel to Spinal Tap 2 domestically made $2.5 million.
Yeah, and not that it should have had any bearing on any type of box office or anything like that, but what a thing to then also lose Reiner this year, right?
Right, exactly. Like it's like, and again, and it's one way of measuring the success, but it is the measure of success that Hollywood and the rest of the world seems to have agreed on. And everybody's like, I can't believe Ella McKay was such a failure. But it's like, yeah, but there were other movies that failed, right? Besides Ella McKay. Yeah. I don't know. Ugh. So how you been? What do you got to add to this?
Well, I've actually, so it's interesting that we're talking about all of this kind of big picture stuff, because I've actually been kind of reaping what I sowed with a bunch of indie artists at the end of last year.
Nice.
And I mean that more in a good way than I think it came out. But
yeah.
But essentially, you got towards the end of the year, got a Christmas bonus from work, and people send you money for Christmas and Hanukkah and shit like that. So you have some cash to throw around if you're lucky. And I decided that this year I was going to try and do something beneficial to me. I'm not going to act like I was not benefited in some way from this, but I did go through and try and find some like Twitch streamers to subscribe to,
Nice.
YouTube artists to really back on. Like I'm not big on like the Patreon stuff or things like that, or like if somebody has, I'm not shitting on it. I'm not saying that it's a bad model at all. I think it's a great model for artists. Like it gives you the ability to support specifically the people you want to support. I think it's actually a fantastic model. Until I meet somebody that is in that position that I feel like I really want to do that with, I will go that deep. Otherwise, I'm going to use some pretty basic means to this. So, like for instance, one of the big things that I did was I bought a couple of what's the term here? Limited edition U2s. Do you know what those are?
They're kind of like Funko Pops, but they're a different company that does them.
Yeah, so they're vinyl figures,
Vinyl
right?
figures,
And vinyl, there's all different types of vinyl companies out there right now for sure. Funko Pop is like everybody's chasing that Funko money, right?
Yeah.
But what U2 specifically does that I did a little bit of research on. I don't know if it's the best way to go about this or not, but they work with specific. While they have some like Funko Pop style, like big releases, like I think they did like a Stranger Things release and things like that too. They'll also go into YouTube specifically, and this is kind of how I got to know them, and find like specific artists, and they'll put out a limited edition 1 month run on that like YouTube artist, like for something silly. And that YouTube artist, I've seen it do all sorts of things. For some up and comers, it's been a like kind of like a, hey, I finally made it, like, hey, like let's celebrate the fact that I hit 1 million viewers with this U2s, and like let's do that sort of thing. For some people, like the bigger guys, it's become a really good like charity thing where they're like, hey, buy my U2s and I'm going to give all this money to this specific charity and things like that. So like it depending on what the artist, where the artist is at and what they're doing with it, it's a pretty cool little concept. You get a vinyl figure out of it. It's a little pricey, but it's like, there are limited edition and they're made to order. There is a chance, actually, I think it's kind of like the Hasbro thing, where if it doesn't get funded, I think there is a chance sometimes that they don't get made. Although I don't know if I've ever seen one that failed, but I don't know. I'm not that deep in the vinyl figure collectors market, but it seemed like a cool way for me to support a couple artists. So like I bought just to name them, Dungeon Soup. Do you know who that is?
I am not familiar with that. No, I am
Oh
sorry.
man. Okay, so one of the big rabbit holes that I fall down on YouTube all the time that I don't really often talk about here, but I love the indie animation stuff and like the indie effects artist shit and things like that you see on YouTube. And so Dungeon Soup has a series. Man, what is the name of his series? It's all about a D&D style barbarian. Chaotic Good Barbarian is the character's name. And essentially he is going out and fighting things like witches and liches and all sorts of shit, right? Like he's fighting like sirens and stuff.
Mhm.
But he is also just fucking chaotically insane, and it's just hilarious. It's just this cute little cartoon series. I say cute, it's like, it's very Adult Swim style influenced, that kind of thing, right? Um and they put out a YouTube's of his last year to celebrate him finishing off what he's calling season one of his Chaotic Good Barbarian line, right? And so like I snagged one of those. Another one that I threw some money at was Tom Bates is a British artist. At least I think he's British from all the voice work he does, but he hand draws and sings and voice acts every character in this series called Nigel and Marmalade, which he figured out how to get really popular through the YouTube shorts movements. So he has a lot of like 30-second videos of his guys, but like he's doing so much work on them that like I don't blame him for not wanting to do the more like 5 minute to like 10-minute things that you see some of these other guys do. But that's fucking hilarious. That's basically like Smiling Friends meets Adventure Time. Like it's crazy. So yeah, so like I've just been diving into a bunch of like indie artists on in various places and buying up a bunch of shit that has been really fun. So it's all started to come in now. I'm starting to get like my vinyl figures in, or I'm getting my limited edition content and things like that I paid for and stuff. It's cool.
Cool. I dig that. I'm really happy I got out of that model. Like the it's all coming in that you mentioned. That was me for so long, like paying so far ahead of time and waiting for something. You know what? I say that I'm a fucking liar, because I have the two remaining Mondo Real Ghostbusters waiting. I have Egon and I have Peter. I'm waiting on Winston and Ray. And that's just, here's $200. I'll take that when it's done. And then I also have on pre-order the Mondo Donatello. Have you seen what the Mondo like 6-inch Ninja Turtles look like?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like
I didn't realize we were in the middle of collecting those guys. Those guys, yeah.
Yeah, like he looks incredible. I mean, I have the vinyl ones, but these are different. Let me see if I can get it. I just want to make sure you see it and that we're talking about the same thing. There we go. Hi, Sejohn. Where's your face? There's your face. Paste and shared. Like, I have this thing, and I'm waiting for this. I don't know when I'm going to get this.
Yeah, they have a little bit of like the movie coloring to them and styling.
Yeah, like
that
that, like this one specifically. Like, I really hope that it's like an option with the legs, because the fact that like the right leg looks like cartoon and the left leg looks like it is movie style with the wraps and everything, like that is weird to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. But other than that, it's a beautiful looking turtle. And then you look at the accessories that you get with it, like, but like I don't know when that's gonna come, right? Like there's no expected to ship when September of 2026.
Yeah, it's such a really it is such a really cool meeting of like the like gritty realism turtle versus the cartoons, because like he looks really badass and he's got like a bandolier in and stuff, but if you look at it, it's actually, that's a fanny pack. He's got
Yeah.
he's got a screwdriver in there. He's got an adjustable wrench. Like none of that stuff in his fanny, none of the stuff on his bandolier or his pack are like weapons or anything. He does have a really cool what's the word? Binding
Mouse?
rope there. What's going on there?
Was it?
Hook shot.
Oh yeah, a grappling hook.
Grappling hook. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that opens up too. Like these are cool. Like I have a couple of them on. Like I said, I have the real Ghostbusters. Those have been the ones
Where
that
did you
I
get those wonderful toys.
Yeah, exactly. But it is the fact that I do pay for those ahead of time, so I'm not completely outside of it. And in fact, what inspired this conversation was like my last ones are finally shipping because Super 7, a company that is probably not long for this world, just being completely honest about it. I pre-ordered their 13th wave of TMNT stuff, which is 2003 Casey Jones, Splinter, Shredder, and a Foot Soldier. And like 2003, they have not had the best looking figures based on that show. Like the Playmate stuff that came out while the show was new, they were very Playmates. We haven't really had an adult style. And part of that is because, as Super 7 is seeing, all of the nostalgia is for the 87 Ninja Turtles. Right? Because, like, the first wave of 2003 stuff, they were, first of all, Super 7 is expensive for what you're getting. Like, your base entry point is $55 for not a lot, just to be completely honest about it. And the thing with Super 7 that we're now seeing in the entire collectibles market is people took I'm just going to wait for a sale approach to them that's just toy collecting in general. Very little is bought when it is brand new, and that's going to end up destroying the industry. That's going to be how it dies. Because those $55 2003 Turtles, come Prime Day, they were all marked down to $30. That's almost a 50% savings off of the original price, man. Like, what are you doing? And if that's just how everybody's going to approach it, like, that's how you're going to maintain that. That's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. And it's weird to think that, like, at the end of 2026, Playmates, who has had the Ninja Turtles license since 1986, is going to no longer have the Ninja Turtles, like, toy license. Now, granted, Ninja Turtles is a wonderful example of we will license out our product to any company who can afford the fee. There was never really exclusivity. So, almost from like Playmate's point of view, why are we still paying for this thing when we then have to compete in the same market for turtle stuff with NECA, with Super 7? Yeah. Like, I get why Playmates would be like, maybe it's not worth it anymore. But Playmates were keeping the home fires lit for the actual toys. Now, yes, every toy eventually somehow becomes a collectible, even if it's in a very small group of people. But they were making the figures that were between $5 to $10 that were meant to be played with by actual children.
Yeah.
Right? The ones that, like, I don't feel bad. I got Chrome Dome from Mutant Mayhem Chrome Alone 2. Target finally did a figure of the Chrome Dome figure, which, fingers crossed, means that the movie might be available to watch at home sometime soon. I honestly cannot believe it's not already up on Paramount Plus.
I mean, how did they not drop it on Christmas as like?
Yeah, exactly.
What
Right.
a wild thing to keep under their belt. I mean, the only thing I could think is the plan might be maybe next year, but man, that would suck.
Well, yeah, and I get it. You want people to go see the SpongeBob movie, but, like, at what point is it like people aren't going to go see the SpongeBob movie anymore? We should drop this as its own thing. And not like on YouTube, right? I'm not saying just post it up on YouTube for anybody to see. Paywall it behind your streaming service. Right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, the issue there, though, is that once something goes up online, it's piratable. Like, I think that's the real thing. We talk about how people are okay sailing the 7 seas again when it comes to entertainment. Part of the reason why we've seen a growth in that industry, in that activity, is it is now easier than ever to pirate things.
I also think that to your thing about once it's up it's easy to pirate. I'm sure you could go and find it right now.
Not in good quality though. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't ask me how I know, but there is no good quality one out there.
There's not in the circles that we run in, right?
Exactly. Well, I think, and then there's also like the waters are hyper muddied because according to Google, it's on the Roku channel right now. You can watch the full short on Roku, but it's just the trailer. But you also go to the Roku channel, it makes it look like you're going to watch the whole video. It says free with ads and you play it, but then it's 1:43, which means that it is the trailer for the 7-minute short, not the full short. So there's also some like misrepresentation. But I got that Chrome Dome figure because he's hilarious. I'm so excited for when everybody gets to see that short because I want to talk about it with everybody. But like you're the only person I know who was like excited to see the SpongeBob movie it was attached to.
Hey man, it was great.
I had a great time. I had a real good time. Don't get me wrong. But like I wanted Chrome Dome because he was a really well done character. But it's like a kid's toy. I paid $5 for it. It has action features, right? You push a button on his back and his face changes. So he's like Manny Faces from the Masters of the Universe. And it's like, but amazing. Like that market going away, the idea of like that Playmates is not going to be creating things like that, that bums me out. That it will only be like outside of Playmates where $5 is like the entry point for one of their collectibles. Like the next entry point is like $35. And that's a lot of money.
Sucks. Like yeah, it's weird that there is not some in between level for this stuff. But I mean, in some ways this is the way the market went, but in some ways this is the way they forced they did this to themselves. Like,
well, you know what it does, and this is going to be my big thesis for this week because it's kind of what I've been noticing, and it pisses me off. Is we're taking away things for children to do. I could have said that far more eloquently than I just did, and I apologize for it. But I went out to the bar, talking to the bartender, and he was so excited. He got like a 9-year-old kid, and they went to a bar, not like during the day, and they got pool tables at the bar, and him and his son played pool, and his son had a real fun time with it. So then he was on his dad, like, can we go back? Can we go back? Can we go back? So then when they went back, all of the pool tables now had a big sign on them that said, no one under the age of 18 can use the pool tables. Not even without supervision, just straight up, there's an NC-18 rating on the pool tables at this bar now. And that's just like, oh, my heart hurts a little bit for that. Because, like, there's no wiggle room for that. I went to a karaoke, like, over the summer. And there were some kids there. And, they were doing it. But they were respectful, right? Like, they weren't yelling or screaming. They were pretty well behaved. I went back to that bar for another event. And they had the karaoke up. Like, we have karaoke on it. And then it had, at the bottom of it, added, since the time I was there in the summer, please note, no singers under the age of 18. And like I think about that, I've been singing karaoke since I was 8 years old. Was the first time that I sang karaoke somewhere. And yeah. I don't think I would be like the person that I am in terms of like being a human being and a performer if I did not have that opportunity. Like,
yeah. I mean, I also live in a place where kids under the age of, or people under the age of 21 are just simply not allowed in certain establishments.
Right, and I get that. I understand. I mean, I figure you living in Utah, right, where there's probably more children than adults per square mile.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, like you might have something to add to it, but like And I didn't even think about the fact that, like, in terms of toys, we're now alienating the youth in that. By, like, pricing them out of being able to children. Right? And I don't want to be that. I don't want to be Helen Lovejoy. Won't somebody please think of the children? But, like, what are we allowing kids to do? Right? Like, we don't want our kid. We don't want you on the iPad all the time. But, like, can't take you out to play pool. Can't take you out to sing karaoke. Like, what are we allowing? Oh, and then the last one. This is the big one. This is the one that where I'm like, I'm going to talk about this on the Say Report. This was the third strike. This was the straw what broke the Devon's back. On Carnival Cruise Lines, there is now a curfew for children, for people under the age of 18. And that, like, all of my independence came from traveling on cruise ships and just, like, being an adult and being independent until like 1, 2, like there are times I was younger than 18. Like that's the reason why it hits the way that it does. But like once, like I couldn't sleep and I stayed up in like a lobby area and I watched the entire 22 episode season of The Class. Once when I was in high school, I couldn't sleep while on vacation. I sat in the library and I read through The Great Gatsby, right? And I'm like, and I'm younger than 18 and I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not doing it. When I went to Alaska and it was the time of the midnight sun, right? So the sun just didn't fucking go down. I stayed all night with a girl that I met. I was 13 years old. I did not go back to my cabin until 7 a.m. And now, if a child is found without adult supervision, I want to make sure I have the time right. I don't know if it's 11 or if it's 1. It might be 1. So even then, like, that's still pretty late and pretty independent that they're letting the kids. Yeah. But it's just so... guests 17 and under must be out of public areas by 1 a.m. unless with a guardian 21 or older. Repeated violations can lead to a fine of up to $500 or forced de-embarkation. They can kick you off the ship. Damn. The entire group if your kid don't stay in. And I just like, on some level, I understand. And it is 1 a.m., which again, that's pretty late for kids to be allowed to do stuff. But at the same time, like, a lot of the times that I remember being a kid on vacation on cruise ships, and I know that comes from a place of privilege. I get that. But I like, not really. It's because my mom was a travel agent. We weren't traveling like, if we were on the Titanic, I'd be dancing in steerage with everybody else. But like, so I'd stay out on deck because it was a lot nicer than the room that we had. And I'd hang out with like-minded individuals my own age. But now to think that like on vacation, those kids, you got to be in your room by 1 a.m. or risk getting thrown off, not just yourself, but your entire party thrown off of the ship. Like, that's just crazy to me. Like, what are kids allowed to do? Like, I never really thought that we would lose our freedom for children the way that we are. But they, like, this infantilization of children, and I know that sounds like kind of crazy, but I walked to the bus stop every day once I turned 13. No, before that, right? Like, walking to the bus stop as soon as middle school. Because elementary school, it came right to my house. But then for middle school, I had to walk to the main road and catch the bus. It taught me responsibility, because if I wasn't there, I was missing the bus. And how am I getting to school then? Usually my parents would charge me from like my allowance money. Or like I'd have to do chores and things so that they would take me to school. I didn't want to go to school, but I had to. But I had to do it. I had to be up on my own. I had to walk to the bus stop. Didn't matter if it was raining or snowing. Nowadays, like, and this upsets me. Like, I am admitting that this is I'm yelling at a cloud right now. But the reason I'm yelling at a cloud is there are all of these cars that are parked by the bus stop now. And like, that's at a stop sign. So I have to go around 2, 3, 4 cars to like drive out of my neighborhood. Because all of these parents, they drop their kids off at the bus stop and then they sit there in a freaking suburb, like gated community and wait for their kids to get on the bus. And it messes up traffic patterns. And also they don't like have on their hazards. So I don't know if you just stopped at the stop sign or not, if it's the one person. But like, how do we expect children to grow up if we're not cutting the cord until they're in their 20s now?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about COVID kids going into high school, having been in high school for a bit now. But and I don't mean there were kids in high school during COVID, obviously, but and that was a whole other generation that we've really, I think, kind of talked to death about like, those people entering the real world now and all that stuff, and what is it like for them to, blah blah blah. What we haven't really talked about yet is like we have a bunch of kids that were at a very developmental age for exactly this kind of stuff, and parents that had 5 years of having their kids inside that maybe didn't get used to the idea of maybe their kids being out on their own. Like, we really got fucked up by COVID, man. But you're talking about like that kind of exact right age for a bunch of kids that, have never really been that far away from their parents before. And we're just, like I don't mean to be like, oh, we're babying kids too much these days. But I mean, you constantly hear conversations about like, did parents really let you just wander around the neighborhood when you were a kid? Like, yes, of course. We fucking played Manhunt until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning in like industrial neighborhoods. Nowadays, I might not because of parents, but because of fucking cops. The last thing I want to do is get fucking shot.
Yeah, right? Whole other conversation. We're too deep into the episode to start. But yeah, when we played Manhunt at the high school, cops would show up and like we would all just hide. Right? Because we're already basically playing hide and seek, but at night. And it's just like
manhunt to the extreme.
Now it's like a for real manhunt if a police officer shows up and you're trespassing. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just, I feel like there are no spaces for kids to be independent while they're like young enough that there are no consequences. Like, I think about that fact where like, oh, you're a teenager, you feel like you're invincible. Like, yeah. Like, but they're not getting that ability to feel invincible. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. For me, it's a bad thing. Because feeling like I was invincible when I was a fucking teenager is why I now understand, like, why consequences fucking matter. We used to get pulled over. We used to walk around the town. Right? And not like in any sort of like weird way. We weren't like dressed up as monsters or anything like that. But one time, God, I think about this, stupid fucking dangerous. But we did it because we were teenagers and we didn't fucking care. We walked from my house to the Walmart in the center of New England. So like that works for you. Like you understand that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a walk, but I mean, it's definitely the kind of shit me and my friends would get up to. We would wander everywhere. So that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And it's the thing that makes sense. But like, I think about it and I'm just like, yeah. And we took a path that was probably even longer so that we had sidewalks and good lighting. It's not like we went down Division Road, a pitch black road where we were. But like, I think about doing that. But then I also think about that on the way home, we got pulled over by the police. Like, what are you kids doing? And it's like, we're just walking. Like, we're not doing anything. Yep. But, like, even then, like, so it technically wasn't allowed then. And here's the crazy thing to me is those cops pull us over, ask what we're doing. Like, we're just out for a walk. We walked to Denny's, and now we're walking back home. They didn't offer to drive us home. They're just like, all right, get home safe at 2 a.m. in the morning. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so we're such a fucking problem that you're going to pull us over. But then, yeah, keep walking. Jesus. I don't know. I just don't know. But it does.
Yeah, look, when I was a kid, we used to get up to all sorts of shit. And we used to get in all sorts of trouble and stuff. And I don't, I don't know. I can't imagine that. I ever tell you about the time I got stitches in the back of my head because we were throwing dirt bombs at each other and one of them had a rock
One of
in
them had a
it?
rock in it. Yeah, it's like an ice ball
Yeah.
when you're doing snowball fights, and it hits you in the ear, but for some reason you limp home.
Oh, I scream cried all the way into my friend's house, and he was the one who threw it at me. And so
Oh
his mom was like,
God.
"What did you do?" And then she called my mom, and she's like, "I'm so sorry." And I was
We were having a dirt clod war. That's an episode of Recess you just described. And I know that it happened to you, right? The beauty of the show Recess is even in their like magical realism of the playground that Recess was, they still told very real world stories. And
Well,
you're
that's the
talking,
bit, right?
yeah, the dirt clod war, where like Randall got hit with a rock, and then it's a whole who threw the rock during the dirt clod war, and like
Yeah,
that.
it was pretty straightforward with us. There was only about three of us there, and
Yeah,
so it was one or
right.
the other of the assholes, and I knew exactly who it was.
Well, not to spoil that Recess, Randall threw the rock up in the air and had it land on him in order to frame Spinelli. Like that was how that ended. But
Wow.
but I also think about like what you just described in the real world, where like you're picking up clumps of dirt, you're throwing them. You're not thinking about that there might be a rock in there deeper down. You're just a kid having fun. I mean, like, the real world consequences of our actions did not fully come into focus until two of our friends broke into the high school and got arrested for trespassing. Now, granted, everybody was like, well, that was a stupid thing to do. Like, you guys obviously saw the line and were like, let's take jetpacks over this. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, it's one thing to be in the football field at like 11 p.m. It's another thing to open a window on the second floor and climb into the high school. Like that, like there's a different.
Before, like, no, like we've talked before about like getting up to shit even in college, right? Like,
oh, of course. Like we still did that stuff. It doesn't change it.
Paula was so mad at me when I got onto that roof.
Yeah. but it is one of those situations where like, these are the things that happen, and they make you realize that, like, oh, because those guys, they were given the option of jail or the military. Remember when that was, like, a real thing that happened? Like, you could go to jail or you could join the military? And both those guys joined the military. And it was weird. And, like, yes, like, I became a little bit more cautious about the things where, like, is this the type of thing that's illegal and could, like, totally fuck up my life? Or is this the kind of thing where, like, I might just get a slap on the wrist or have to pay a fine?
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, no, that's just not the way the kids behave these days. For good or for ill. There's also a lot of bad shit that we got up to in those times, right? Like we talk frequently about how, we didn't necessarily grow up perfect. Like there's definitely stuff that we were doing in those times that we shouldn't have been. But it's that eternal balance between like letting the kids just be fucking punks, but also like making sure that they are also being good human beings it's a hard balance to strike, especially, I mean, we are talking as two people that don't even have kids of our own, right? Like, we're just talking about the kids that we see out in the world. And like, so God knows, like the whole other side of this is actually just raising the damn kids these days. And like with, like I said, with COVID coming through and now like we're talking about going to war with fucking Europe over Greenland, which is fucking insane. And like there's never a moment of what we used to consider normalcy. I say that with a grain of salt nowadays because more of our lives has been taken up by insanity than not, I guess. But
yeah, I don't know. I guess like there's a time, I think that for me, one of the most important things about being a kid is that like you have that ability to make mistakes and learn from them. And again, it's not everybody has to learn from mistakes. It has just been the way that I have learned almost anything. To anyone who asks me about my collegiate experience, I basically learned what not to do. You were there with me for a lot of it, so you can either co-sign that or give your own take on it. But I watched a lot of what was not the proper way to do things, and that's how I learned the right method of doing things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, all of my stage management experiences were like that. Is I watched someone who was in over their head as a stage manager. So then it's like, okay, so I'm not going to let that happen to me. Right? That's
Right,
me, though.
exactly.
I don't. Again, I can't talk for Sejohn, but it is. And I think that there is some, like, real import to that. And then another thing, right along this same line is, like, kids aren't getting jobs in their teenage years. And I was talking to a friend about this who is a father, and he's like, it's different. We kind of had to work where, like, modern teenagers don't have to work. Like, that's not part of it. And on some level, that's nice. They get to be a kid longer. But for me, once I started having a job and having to, like, find a balance between school and work and life, that's when everything meant more to me, because it gave me stakes. And I don't know, like, it made me realize that, like, no, life is, like, there are consequences in life, Devon.
Yeah, I think that there's also, like, there, I don't know. I was somebody that had a really hard time with employment growing up. I had jobs, but they weren't meaningful jobs, or they were family jobs. So, like, when I got into the real world and had an actual job, that was, there were wake up calls abound for me, like, so I'm in this weird middle ground in that regard. Right? It's not that I didn't work at all when I was a teenager. It's that I was very lucky, very privileged with the jobs that I got when I was that age, that when it came time for me to be, a big boy, that I had some growing up to do. And so I kind of sympathize a little bit with, like, with kids that come into these positions that, they are just learning and they don't necessarily understand or know things. But, like, here's the thing. We're not giving anybody the space to make mistakes anymore. And the fact that we're not giving anybody the space to make mistakes and learn is going to fucking ruin us. I mean, no wonder everybody these days has fucking anxiety, because everybody's just always on the lookout to catch you doing something.
You're not wrong. Like, and you know what? Honestly, that, like, not ready to make mistakes. I was talking with somebody regarding, they're looking for a stage manager. I mentioned that I had stage management experience, and they're like, oh my God, do you want to be my stage manager? Like, this is a real conversation I had within the last 2 months, being like, will you stage manage for me? And I'm like, well, how much does it pay? And they're like, it's not going to pay a lot. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. And I know that, like, there are other reasons to do things, but if I'm going to jump back into stage managing, easily one of the most stressful tasks I've ever done in my life, it needs to be worth it for me.
Mm.
And I know that might sound wrong, because, like, for the art should be worth it on some level, but on a lot of levels, no. Like, you're asking a lot of a person who's stage managing.
Right.
But, like, I'm like, do you not have anybody who's interested? He's like, well, everybody who's interested, they don't know how to do it, and I don't have the time to train them. I need somebody who already knows how to be a stage manager to be my stage manager. And I get that too. I understand that, because, like, it's a real skill to know how to, like, call cues and all of the responsibilities that come with that, right? Like, he's like, my last stage manager, the person called for line during a rehearsal, and the stage manager didn't know what they were supposed to fucking do. And I'm like, what? That's stage management 101. That's like stage management 010. Like, you have the script there during the rehearsal, so if someone forgets a line, you can feed them the line. That's assistant stage manager work. That's, like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand it. But you're right. To speak to, like, we don't let people make mistakes anymore, we also don't put people who have zero experience into, like, high stress situations to learn how to maintain and manage those situations.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know. And then, like, it's like, how are you ever going to find one, right? Because somebody like me who has experience, I'm going to want to be compensated for the experience that I have. Somebody who's green, who's never done it before, they'd be willing to work for the experience, for the chance to learn. but you're saying that's not the person that I want. So like, there's no solution there. We just have there's no path to victory anymore. God, I feel this is great. This is what my mind has been like over the last week. Is just very defeated and just so much of it, CJ.
Well, I think because I'm getting the impression from everyone around me that 2026 and like the new year, which is traditionally a time where people feel like kind of a renewed sense of maybe this year will be better, right? I think we are in the middle of a slump right now where people are pretty sure it's not going to get better, right? So like that new year enthusiasm that we kind of started to muster because yeah, it's going to be 2026, things will be different. And then we landed in 2026 and within like 3 days it was not different. It was worse.
It's already the 13th. We're in the 13th month of 2025 and not the first month of 2026.
And it's been that way, and I don't want to act like that's like a new thing.
No.
It's specifically because it's not a new thing. Because we've just, every year, we hit this point where we're like, all right, this year kind of sucked, but maybe next year we can get it right, and then we don't. And that's just been going on now for a long time. And so, I can't think of a year where we didn't say, like, I'm done with you at the end of it, right? Like, I'm trying to think of a year that we got to the end of that we didn't all collectively think, I'm done with this. Let's move on to the next one.
One of the reasons we do the Say Report is that exact thing that you're discussing. Is that we were like, we need something. We need something that we're looking forward to every week. Because, holy fuck, it's 2017, Sejohn, and what the fuck is happening? Like 2015, we lost all those celebrities. 2016, we sat down at Dave & Buster's, like, man, I'm happy for next year. And then within 2 weeks of that, we're like, man, 2017 ain't much better than where we just were. We gotta do something. And what we did was this. What we're currently creating. I think is the season finale of our 9th year doing this. Like a season 9 finale. Like, yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
And like, not everybody has this outlet that we have like this. Like I was like, had a shit week, but I'm super happy to be sitting in front of a microphone talking to you about some of the things that made this week shit.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess last thing I want to make sure I bring up is Shoresy season 5 started in Canada on the 1st of the year. Nice. We now have 4 episodes. I'm not going to talk about it till it airs in America, which should hopefully be within like the next 2-3 weeks. But Jesus God, is the 5th season of Shoresy very, very good. Real big fan of it.
Nice.
Yeah, like, and I didn't know where it was gonna go after, like, they weren't sure where it was gonna go. Like, the 4th season is them between like hockey seasons, so it really has not a lot to do with hockey. But that's been real enjoyable. Wild Cards started up again in Canada. I don't know when it's premiering in America, but the first episode of Wild Cards was excellent. I finished the 5th season of Emily in Paris, which got renewed for a 6th season. That show still has an Emily problem, but everybody else is enjoyable. What about Best Medicine? Have you heard of Best Medicine at all?
I mean, they tell me it's laughter.
It is an Americanization of the show Doc Martin, starring Josh Charles as Dr. Martin Best. The first episode aired last week after football, with an encore on its normal night of Tuesdays. I think it's at 8 o'clock. The first episode was crackerjack. Really, really good. I'm excited for more of that. I don't know if it'll be like this coming week or not, but Best Medicine, really good. I mean, it's Josh Charles. But then you also have like Josh Segarra is there, not Abigail Breslin, that's Little Miss Sunshine. The woman from
Man,
Timeless. I'll look her up. I'll actually bring it up. Annie Potts plays his aunt in it, and you know I love me some Annie Potts. I'll fucking Annie Potts. John DiMaggio, as not just a voice actor, is the town handyman Bert. Abigail Spencer is the one that I was thinking of. Just like
so did you ever watch Doc Martin? You dropped that like it was like just a casual thing, but I didn't know that they were remaking Doc Martin.
Yeah,
like, you're talking about like a staple of British television for like a decade or two, right? Like it was one of those ones that like in the early 2000s it started. I remember it coming over on like the Friday night PBS BBC stuff, and then eventually when BBC America was a thing, Doc Martin was one of the first shows that like my dad was excited he was going to get to watch. When streaming became really big, Doc Martin was one of the first things that like got picked up for like, let's bring this over to America via Hulu type of thing, you know?
Yeah. So I've never watched it, and now here's the problem. I will not allow myself to watch Doc Martin, and it's 18 years of content, which I think amounts to 79 episodes, because they do it right over there. Yeah. That's a bit of a joke, where like in America, that would be like 700 episodes of television, right? We've been doing this for 9 years. This is our 469th episode of the Say Report. And
I'm trying to get a read on. I'm trying to remember, because it's been a moment since I've watched it. I remember it as an hour-long drama, but it might have actually been one of those like 90-minute ones.
46 is 46 minutes
okay.
Tends to be it. So I mean, and I'm all about it. Like they keep calling him Doc Martin in the show, because isn't Barton Best, but and he's like it's actually Dr. Best, and I'm sure that if that goes back to it or whatever, but ever since Call Me Kat, the Mayim Bialik remake of Miranda that was on the Fox channel, where the first episode was good, it brought us to the Miranda show, and then as a family we devoured the 5 seasons, 30 episodes that existed of Miranda, and then it really made Call Me Kat just a hard watch, because the first season of Call Me Kat had almost more episodes than the entirety of the show Miranda had.
Yeah.
And in terms of quality, it was quantity over quality. Like just straight up. Like I would watch an episode of Miranda right now, any episode, random episode, and I'd be very happy. It just made it difficult. That's also why I haven't watched any of the UK Ghosts, which I think there's only 2 seasons that exist of Ghosts from the UK. As Ghosts is in the middle of its 5th season right now. But like I don't want to color the American version by watching what will more than likely be the superior British version. But then the nice thing is like after Best Medicine, which could run for 1 year and it could run for another 18 years, a la Doc Martin. I don't think so, because they're not going to be doing 6 episode seasons. More than likely, they're going to do 13, if not 22 episode seasons. Actually, now I'm going to look that up while I'm here. Oh, come on. Get out of here, Doc Martin. The real show. Yeah, 13 episodes in the first season.
13 episodes? Okay. Yeah. I mean, so that gives them probably about 5 seasons worth of, if they want to, sticking to the original stuff, and then after 5 seasons, if they're established enough, doing their own thing. I think that seems, as far as the British remake model goes, I think that a shorter American season obviously will never be as short as the British series model, right? But a shorter American season kind of helps you stick to a little bit more of that feeling.
Yes.
Is it an hour-long drama?
It's
comedy?
I believe it, yeah. So it doesn't say how long, which is kind of crazy, but it's about 40, I think it's 42 now, is how much content you get in an hour-long show. Because they've been carving that down.
But like, is that the model of the remake?
That's the model of the remake, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm just making sure they weren't like turning it into like a 22-minute sitcoms or something,
No. And if they were, I don't think it would work. Like it very much.
There's definitely some really funny stuff, but there's also some really heavy stuff that goes on in the
that
series,
like seriously, watch that first episode of Best Medicine, because you get that. Like they really did a good job of like this is going to be fun and sad. Like, understand that it's a balance between the two of them. Like, it's good. It was enjoyable. And I would love to go watch Doc Martin, and I could probably get through all of it in the time between the end of season 1 of Best Medicine and the premiere of the second season of Best Medicine, assuming it gets picked up for a second season. So far, we only have one episode that I'm even judging it on. But it's one of those situations where I need to wait until Best Medicine is done before I jump into the other one. Because I just know that it would affect my enjoyment.
Yeah, no, it's one of those ones that I won't say I grew up on it, because it would have been
2004 is when it premiered in Britain. So I doubt it.
So
probably a couple of years.
It would have been a couple of years. Yeah, it would have been a couple of years after I had kind of moved out of the house and stuff in Rhode Island. But like Doc Martin was one of those shows that my dad was very into, and I ended up watching some. Like I said, especially when it came, I'm almost 100% sure that it was one of the early Hulu grabs for, like, let's put some content on our streaming app, to compete with Netflix. And they grabbed Doc Martin, and I watched a ton of it in grad school, just kind of offhand.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I mean, like, if the original show is half as good as the other the one that's on Fox right now, I would not be surprised. But then also, I imagine that the American one with Josh Charles is only about half as good as what we get over there. And then, like, I look at the cast, like, I'm on the Wikipedia page for it, and I'm already seeing names I recognize, like Lucy Punch and Stephanie Cole, Catherine Parkinson, where I'm like, well, damn, those are all actors I really like.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that's the big news, because the other thing is, did you know that we have an Olympics coming up in 2026?
I know, right? Yeah, it's just a couple of weeks, right, or something.
It's February. So
February.
I have been lamenting the fact that all of the CBS shows are just done until the end of February. And then someone's like, well, yeah, for the Olympics. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that tracks, right? Winter Olympics were last in 2024. I get how their 2022. I get how the model works of every 4 years. But I just feel like nobody's been talking about the Winter Olympics, like, at all. And also, like, NBC has new content in January. Friggin' ABC has new content in January. Fox has new content in January. Why did CBS be like, we're going to take off January and February. See you at the end of February. And the answer is because Skydance bought them. So they saw an opportunity to pause and readjust and assess their schedule. Which is what it is. There's no other way around it. But I'm just surprised that, like, oh yeah, so Olympics makes sense, but then how come ABC has new content till the Olympics start? How come? It's rubbing my mind the wrong way.
I don't know, man. I'm excited. I love the Olympics. I was watching some figure skating championship stuff recently. I think they were just recently in St. Louis.
Qualifiers and stuff happening right now, so it makes sense.
Yeah, watching some of that stuff was getting me kind of excited, and I don't know. The time is meaningless and has been for a long time now. So
yeah, like, and I've talked about it before. Like, even though we might not seem like the sportiest dudes on the block, like, the Olympics are something I enjoy. I like when I can go into a bar and I know that it's going to be, Olympic events that are on the television. I dig it. I've just fallen out of love with the Olympics in the last couple of years. The 2022 Winter Olympics were very difficult for me to come to terms with.
Yeah. No, there's been some world stuff around them that has made it hard to kind of get into the mood of, like, the lovey-dovey concepts of the Olympics,
Yes.
Which is a shame, because what the Olympics should be a salve for that shit, right? Like, they should be that thing that helps us heal those wounds. That's the idea. But
the Olympics have always kind of felt like the carrot. right?
Yeah.
Like everything else is the stick, but then we get a reward in the terms of the Olympics, where instead of killing each other with guns, we compete to see who's the fastest one going down, a snow hill on their backside.
Man. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe something good will come this year though. That like with the Olympics, there's always a chance that you get some crazy history making stuff,
Yeah.
and that's always good.
Yeah, like at the same time, like where I'm like, we have an Olympics and I'm acting the way I am, and you can go back. I've shared some of my complicated feelings about the Olympics. One of the only prepared statements that's ever happened on this show were my thoughts about the Olympics. Yeah, on some level, I'm kind of excited. I am excited about it, right? Like, think about the movies that could be made 10, 20 years from now that are completely not what happened, but are still really enjoyable. I'm looking at you, Cool Runnings.
I mean, you want to talk some good like historic wintry sports stuff going on right now? Have you been following college football at all?
No, I haven't. I mean, the football and I have already.
Indiana University is on a hell of a streak. It is 100-year historic streak. I mean, we're talking like Red Sox, Patriots level of like, holy shit! I can't believe they're going to do this. They got a new coach this year. His name is Kurt Signetti, and he's pretty well known for being extremely professional and good with students and stuff like that. And one of the first questions he was asked when he first showed up was, like what exactly are you, what exactly are you going to do differently? Because IU has been struggling for years. They made it into the Rose Bowl, I think it was the Rose Bowl, it might have been the Peach Bowl, like back in 2014, 2012, and lost miserably, and that was the closest that they've come in a long time. So they remember that year pretty strongly in Indiana. And so now having they're 14-0, I think, is their season right now, or they're 13-0, and they're about to go into the championship game like undefeated, like is like a huge fucking deal. And somebody said to him like, "What are you going to do differently?" And he was just like, "You can go back and see what I've done before. I'm going to coach them. We're going to play football. We're going to win." That's basically was his answer. And like, it's insane. They played a game against Oregon this past weekend that I think it was Friday night. The Oregon Ducks, and holy shit, I think the ending score was like 56-20 or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I was trying to make sure I had the name and everything, and yeah, they finished the season 13-0, and the Ducks game. I'm trying to see the final here. Why is it like? Why are you hiding the information I care about?
Yeah. So it's just another, there's some interesting fun stuff going on in the world too, as much as we are sitting here and being cranky. But I really think all of these feelings about like, like the like it feels like we are just still in 2025. Like I think that's where this is all coming from right now. And, I'm hoping that something happens that pulls us out of this, and it's not pulls us further down, but rather pulls us up,
Yeah, because what a week this year has been, or what a year this week has been. It's been something else. 2026 has been something else so far. But again, we're at the end of the episode, so we'll keep an eye on those emerging stories, and once they get big enough that we have to talk about them on the show, you bet your bottom dollar that we will. Anything else you want to make sure you put into this episode, Sejohn, before we send it off? Because I'm feeling pretty good right now.
No, I also have been diving into some comic stuff lately. Keeping up with Absolute Batman, so good. I can't believe how good that series is. I'm so enjoying that. But I also treated myself for Christmas. I got some Amazon gift cards together. So I snagged some of the. What's the publishing company? I want to make sure I get the right publishing company. Fantagraphics. Fantagraphics has about 5 years ago put together a bunch of. I actually think it was 2023. Is they started to put together a bunch of these Saturday afternoon comics. Disney Saturday afternoon or Disney
Adventures. Because I have the one. I have a Darkwing Duck omnibus of them, and I have the one that collects the stone of, not Sidorak, that's Juggernaut, the Serpent Stone that like when they combine, it's all the Disney Afternoon shows do a 5-part crossover. That's just incredible. And I got to read it when it was real, like live.
Yeah, I know. I think I have the issues, the single issues, still in my parents' basement. But what they do really well with these collections is that they take the individual overarching stories and then they rearrange them so that you actually can just read the stories just straight through, right? So it's like the first like 5, or it's like a collection of 5 issues of Disney adventures, and then they but they reformat the stories so that they're easy reads. One of the best parts about this one that I got is I bought the first volume, which the main story is the Darkwing Duck Just Does Ducks story. It also has the one that you're referring to, but the other thing that it has in there that was a huge surprise, and if I had just kind of read a little bit deeper on the Amazon page, I would have known this, but it was a great surprise for me, is that it contains the entire retelling of the Goofy movie in it.
Yeah. It's a wonderful book. I've read it a couple of times. I'm glad you're getting into that. That's awesome.
But I also grabbed, they put out a 90th anniversary Donald Duck story, Magic and Mayhem, that I grabbed. I also grabbed the Epic Mickey collection from them. Like I had a series of stuff from them. And Fantagraphics they put some, the product feels good. I won't say that it's like the most high-end product, and they're expensive than regular collections, but not too much more. They're all hardcover, at least the ones that I've seen so far, and they're good, like, loving collections. You can feel that clearly the people putting stuff together at Fantagraphics care about the history that they're preserving, and I really do think that they consider themselves like Criterion and like Arrow Video that we've talked about in the past. Like, I feel like they think their mission is to really archive stuff, because if you go to the Fantagraphics website, like, the stuff that they're collecting is gorgeous, and from some of the weirdest niches of early comic book stuff. But the Disney Afternoon Adventures stuff that they collected a couple of years ago is pretty phenomenal.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I have that first one. I'm glad that you're digging into them. That's awesome. That's really cool. I guess to talk comics, we at the Say Report have read the first 2 issues of the TMNT Battle Nexus from IDW. Right. And we were going to talk about that, and then we realized it's a 5-part miniseries, for better or for ill. So once that whole series is done, we're going to talk about it, which I think they're releasing every 2 weeks, which is also really nice. That it's not like a full month or even 2 months between them, because they're short. Like, that'll be my initial sort of teaser review on them, is that they are very short. I read them so quickly. But that's been my complaint about IDW since the beginning, is that their publication has always felt like we're aiming for the trade paperback. So I don't know, but it's been good. We're talking about comics, and
IDW has also gone through a lot of financial shit over the
Yes,
years.
they have.
They're not getting better anytime soon. So I think that it's also a kind of a, what's the word I'm thinking of?
It's a symptom of that,
No, it's a writing on the wall for them, an omen of things. Unfortunately,
I don't know. I mean, I've always kind of felt like. I used to buy the trade paperbacks because I was on the boat, right? I was working on the Carnival Dream. It was a ship. I'm sorry to say that. So, it was much easier to buy a trade paperback when it came out than to try to, hunt them down at, the weekly releases when I was in port. And if I missed one, I'd be, just screwed and have to wait for the trade paperback anyway. And when I came back to land and could buy them week to week again, I got pissed off. I'm not going to lie to you. Because it doesn't even feel like you're getting part of the story. It feels like you're getting part of a part. I don't know. That's me, though. The other thing is, since it was my birthday, I got some good gifts, which shout out to Claude and Reagan for UB40's greatest hits. That's just a punerific gift. They got me a UB40 CD for my 40th birthday. I hope everybody get the bit here. And then, like, shout out to Sejohn, and I haven't had a chance to start yet because the beginning of the year is a busy time for me. So I've been, like, Actually, I've been coming home just, like, going to sleep. I'll be completely honest with you. But Sejohn got me the novelization of Howard the Duck, the movie, which seems right, as that movie is now 40 years old. Holy fucking shit.
And you know, the other thing about it is that it's a way to enjoy that story again without having to look at what's his nuts there, Jeffrey.
I can't think of his last name.
Good. I don't want to.
Bueller's Principal. Jeffrey something.
Doesn't deserve our conversation about.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I appreciate it. So I'm excited to read through that. I love the novelizations of these things. Like I said, I'm still hunting down the novelization of Power Rangers, the movie, because I want to see how big a deal the pig guy is, Mordant, in the actual novel. But I think that's all for right now. Also, I don't know if this is the season finale or the penultimate before the season finale episode of this particular season. Sejohn and I are going to delve into the workshop. We'll have a definitive answer for you next week as to whether it's the season 10 premiere or the actual season 9 finale episode. So look forward to that. That should be a good time. But in the meantime, if you want to keep the conversation going, you can join us on Discord. Invitations to join are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is still Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. And if you click in the bio, you can, get an invitation, join the Discord. If you're not on social media, which no one here is going to judge you for that, especially not Sejohn, who isn't on social media himself, you can contact us directly, thesayreport@gmail.com, and we can facilitate you with an invitation to join the Discord. But if the Discord seems like a bridge too far, you can just send us emails, thesayreport@gmail.com, and we'll respond to you. The most important thing is that if it is specifically for me, Devon Decker, or for him, Sejohn Sarwick, just put our name in the subject line, and it will be distributed appropriately. But do understand that anything that you do submit to us, Sejohn might be the only one who reads it if it's for him, but there's a chance we'll talk about it on the show. Just understand that any submissions are, as Robert Fox, Lance, and Claude and Reagan learned this episode, any submissions or anything that we even talk about is open to being discussed on the show. So just understand that when you interact with us. And then changing things up for 2026, our little sister show, the Say Report Junior, Say Report Junior, they're back. They kicked off the year with a Hot Topic episode on New Year's Eve. Can I tell you, Sejohn, I'm so glad that they covered New Year's Eve because I would never want to, ever.
Nice. Yeah, man.
And the fact that
you're only making it more intriguing for us to do it. But yeah,
I know. But once you kiboshed Love Actually, I breathed a sigh of relief that that means we're probably never going to have to do Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, or Mother's Day, right? Because how can you not start with the primordial ooze to say? And now the fact that they're covering it, it's good. And honestly, I've never seen New Year's Eve, but I've listened to their episode. I don't think I ever want to see New Year's Eve. Big a fan of Gary Marshall as I am.
I see that your sister's nicer than you. She didn't make you watch it with her.
Well, that's because I was at work. And now, I mean, I would have, if I were home, I would have, but they threw that whole thing together in secret. I'm so proud of Zach and Dale for throwing back together Say Report Junior. I don't know when their next episode's coming out because they don't know when their next episode's coming out, but I do think they're going to be shooting for a weekly release. So just keep your eye out for that. Once we have more information, it'll go into this part of the episode. Not in this one. I'm not re-editing this episode, but at the end. Right, we'll give a shout out to our little sister podcast. All of that said, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. We look forward to seeing you next week. And William, please bring us home. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.